Chapter 2 Revelations. In the royal city of Canterlot, the two ruling princesses were finishing up their examination of a young dragon that had very recently gone through a life-threatening ordeal. Spike sat on the edge of a bed in one of Canterlot Castle's many guest rooms. A white and violet aura surrounded his little body as the two princesses gave him one last checkup. Organs, muscles, bones, metabolic rate, everything was checked thoroughly until both were satisfied with the results. "Well, Spike, everything looks fine. There's no residual trace of the curse in you," Princess Luna told the young dragon. "Does that mean it's finally over?" Spike asked, hopefully. "I think it's safe to say you have nothing to worry about," Princess Celestia told him. "That's a relief." "Thank you, your majesties. Really, you have no idea how relieved I am," Spike told them. "There is one concern I have, though," Celestia said. "What's that? I thought you said I was okay." "Oh, you're fine, Spike, but I discovered that when we sealed you in this form, you weren't entirely dragon at the time. It seems that you still have some pony left in you," she said. "I noticed that too, but I wouldn't be too worried about it, Spike. It doesn't appear to be harming you at all," Luna told him. "Well, now that all that's out of the way, I was curious, how are you and Rarity doing?" "We're doing okay, I guess," he said. "You guess?" Princess Celestia asked. "Is everything all right?" "Well, at first everything was great. Rarity wanted to do everything together, and of course I didn't mind. Any time I got to spend with her was time well spent. But lately she's been kind of distant," Spike sighed. "I think some of the ponies around town have been talking. I don't think they like her being my mare friend. Or, more to that point, they don't like the fact that I'm the one she chose to be with." "I don't understand," Luna said. "I know dragons can cause ponies to be a little apprehensive, but you're just a little guy, and you've lived in Ponyville for over 4 years. Surely the ponies have had enough time to get used to by now." "It's nothing like that, Princess. A lot of the ponies there are friends of mine, and they don't seem to have a problem with it, but there are a few ponies there that don't approve of our relationship. I've heard some of them talking when they didn't think Rarity or I could hear them. They think that ponies and dragons should stick to their own kind. I love her, she loves me. Why should it matter that I'm a dragon?" "Have you talked to her about this yet?" Celestia asked him. "Not yet. I planned to as soon as I got back to Ponyville. There's something I wanted to ask her, but I'm not sure how she'll take it." "What's that?" Luna asked. "Well, even when I'm old enough to, you know, she and I will never be able to have kids. I'm just wondering if she's thought about that. I don't know. Do you think I'm rushing things with questions like that?" "Not at all," Princess Celestia told him. "In fact, I think it's very grown-up of you to be thinking about that. Some mares are very picky when it comes to the subject of foals, but I wouldn't count children out altogether." "What do you mean? She's a pony. I'm a dragon. We're not the same species, and heck, I don't think we're in the same phylum. I mean, she's a mammal, and I'm a reptile. I don't think it's possible that the gametes would blend correctly." "It's nice to see you were paying attention to the classes Twilight brought you to," Celestia said, smiling. "However, you are incorrect. In some rare cases, there have been some crossbreeds between dragons and ponies." "Really?" he asked. "Yes, but like I said, it is very rare, and if it doesn't work out, there is always adoption," she suggested. There was a sharp knock at the door. "Enter!" Luna called out. The head of a white Pegasus guard poked through the doorway. "Your Majesties, please pardon the intrusion, but the carriage for your guest is ready and waiting to take him back to Ponyville." "Very good. Spike will be with you shortly," the Princess of the Night told him. The guard pulled his head out of the room and closed the door behind him. "One last thing before you go, Spike," the Solar Princess said. "I've recently received a letter from Twilight informing me that your sister Emerald has arrived in town for your birthday." "But she wasn't supposed to be here for another week! This is great!" he said joyfully. "I take it you're excited, then?" Luna said. "Of course I am. For the longest time I thought I didn't have any family left, except for Twilight, that is. Now I get to meet my big sister for the first time. I wonder what she's like. I wonder what she's going to think of me and Rarity being together." "Well, why don't you get back to your home and your lady and find out?" Luna encouraged him. Spike hugged both of the regal ponies. "I will, and thanks for everything, princesses." Celestia and Luna watched the little purple dragon as he raced out of the guest chambers. "You should have told him, Tia." "I did not want to worry him unnecessarily," He has enough to deal with at the moment. Besides, what good would it have done to tell him that one of those trust beats turned into discord? Off in the rocky, windswept hills southeast of Ponyville, a white unicorn mare and a green dragoness were hunting for gems. "That is quite the talent you have there, Rarity," Emerald said. "Thank you, but it's nothing all that impressive," she told the dragoness. "You're far too modest. I know several dragons that would give their left wing for a talent like that," Emerald told her. "Really now, you're going to make me blush," Rarity said. "I wanted to thank you again for helping me gather these last few gems for Spike. He's usually the one who helps me." "I see. I bet he always went fishing for a kiss when you were finished, too," Emerald said, smiling. "Absolutely not," Rarity said resolutely. "Spike has always been the little gentle drake. He never made untoward advances on me. I guess that's why I didn't fully know how he really felt about me until the earlier incident." "What do you mean?" she asked the pony. "You see, Emerald, many of the ponies here and in Canterlot think of me as a bit of a tease. I've always been on the lookout for the perfect stallion for me, and if I detected even the slightest hint of shallow affection, I cut them loose. I did not want some pony to like me only because of what I looked like. I've looked for 10 years for that special pony, but all of them liked me for what I was and not who I was." "It's a long time to be alone," she said. "Oh, I've never been alone. I've always had Sweetie Belle to cheer me up when I was feeling low, but a girl needs a mate. I'm used to stallions hitting on me and trying to get in my bed. Spike was different. He'd do little things for me, go out of his way to make sure I was happy, and never once asked for anything in return. I was caught off guard. It wasn't an approach I was expecting. I guess that's the difference between ponies and dragons. A drake like Spike will always come at you sideways, unexpectedly. They'll sidle right up, and before you know it, you're talking like old friends." Emerald halted the wagon she was pulling and looked around silently. "Is everything all right, darling?" Rarity asked, becoming concerned. "I think we're being followed. Look, over there, did you see the bushes move?" Rarity looked across the bare rocky landscape to the bushes screening a short drop-off. A glint of orange sparkled from the shadows. The white unicorn sighed and relaxed. "Rover, will you and your 2 friends stop skulking in the shadows and introduce yourselves properly?" 3 diamond dogs slowly crawled out of the bushes. Each of them were brushed and groomed, their nails trimmed and manicured. Each of the 3 males wore a blue vest and a collar with a different gemstone. "Apologies, Miss Rarity," Rover said in its gravely voice. "We were afraid of your dragon companion. We are used to seeing you with Mr. Spike." "That's quite all right, dear. I'm happy you are continuing with the lesson I left you. And I see you've kept up with the grooming as well," Rarity said happily. "Actually, no. Patches has been doing all the grooming for us recently," he said. The unicorn mare looked to the largest of the 3 diamond dogs. "Is this true, Patches?" "Yes, Miss Rarity. I don't know why, but I love the washing and grooming and brushing. It's just fun for me," he told her, his voice almost as gravelly as Rover's. "You should visit the Yellow twins at the spa in town when you have the time. You can learn a lot from them," she told him. "Thank you, Miss Rarity, I will." "If you don't mind me asking, why were you 3 following us?" Emerald asked them. The smallest of the 3 answered in his high-pitched, screechy voice, toning it down as best he could. "We wanted to give Miss Rarity a gift for helping us with these lessons. Our trading partners have been more generous with us since Miss Rarity gave us lessons in proper grooming and speaking," he said. "So we wanted to thank her, and since we know she likes gems, we got some for her," Spot said, moving aside the screen of bushes, revealing 3 carts loaded with gems. "Oh my, thank you, all of you. I'm touched, really," Rarity said. "It's quite generous of you. If you hitch them to the back of my wagon, I'll pull them home," Emerald offered. "I couldn't ask you to do that, darling. I insist on taking at least one of them myself," Rarity said firmly. "Absolutely not. Not in your condition. That's my niece or nephew you're carrying, and I will not have you stressing yourself unnecessarily," Emerald stated resolutely. "Condition?" Rover asked. "Are you all right, Miss Rarity?" The other 2 diamond dogs busied themselves with hitching the carts to the back of Emerald's wagon. "Yes, dear, I'm fine," she said, Spike will be back later today, so I suppose we should get these home. Thank you again, boys. Keep up with the bathing. I promise I'll come back soon for a visit and with a few more lessons." The 3 diamond dogs wigged to the unicorn and dragoness as they walked back toward town with their burden of gems. "Goodbye, Miss Rarity. Goodbye, Miss Dragon Lady," they called out in unison. Emerald and Rarity stashed the massive gems at the Carousel Boutique and made their way over to the library. "Do you think Spike will like the gems? I mean, he's a dragon, so I know he'll like them, but do you think they'll be acceptable as a birthday present?" "I suppose so. He'll have enough for his own personal hoard. However, dragons don't give presents of material possessions on birthdays or special occasions normally." "Why ever not?" Rarity asked her. "With dragons, especially drakes, that sort of thing tends to lead to greed and jealousy. I learned in one of my history courses that a war between 2 dragon clans broke out over a gift that was given to a clan lord. Another clan lord perceived the gift to be greater than the one given to him," she explained. "Once the war was over, it was decided that gifts of physical objects would be forbidden. So now, if you want to give something to someone, it usually takes the form of poetry, stories, or even just taking them out for a meal." "I see. We had a similar problem with Spike a few years ago on his birthday," Rarity told her. "He became very greedy and started taking anything he could get his claws on. He grew larger and larger, until he turned into an absolute monster of a dragon that nearly destroyed the town." "How'd you get him to come back to his senses? It usually takes a clan leader or an elder to calm their greed," the dragoness asked her. "Spike told me that it was his memories of me that snapped him out of it." A red blush showed brightly on Rarity's white cheeks as she remembered what the young dragon told her that day. "He had changed back to his old self, and we were falling from a great height. It was then that Spike told me how he felt. I wish I could go back in time. I would do everything different starting with that day. I wouldn't have treated him so badly." "Rarity, Twilight told me about what happened between you and my little brother when he got cursed. I didn't say it yesterday, but I wanted to thank you for convincing him to become a dragon again and saving his life. He's the only family I have left." Emerald sat outside the library, facing the unicorn. "Spike forgave you for the things you said and the way you acted, didn't he?" "Yes, but I can't help but feel guilty about it still. I feel as though I still have something to make up for. After all he's done for me over the years, I owe it to him to make sure he's happy for a change. Good feelings and happiness are not things to be repaid, but accepted, enjoyed, and returned in kind. If what I've seen from you so far is of any indication, I think you and Spike are going to be very happy together for a very long time." Emerald hugged the white mare tightly. Looking up into the sky, she saw the small outline of a carriage being pulled by 2 white pegasi in golden armor. "Speak of the drake, I think that's him coming now." Rarity panicked. "What, already? He wasn't supposed to be back till later. What am I going to do? Spike can't see me like this." "Calm down. I'm sure he'll be happy just to see you. Besides, your stomach is barely showing your pregnancy." "Trust me, Spike will notice," she said fervently. "Please, you have to hide me. Okay, let's get into the library and wait for him. While he's talking to me, you can slip out the back," Emerald said, opening the door. "I don't think he's seen us, but in case he has and he asks about you, what should I tell him?" Just tell him I had to go get some last-minute orders finished, and that I'd see him later. I think he'll believe that." As the carriage came to a rest in front of the library, Spike jumped out and walked to the front. "Thanks, guys. I appreciate the lift home." "No problem, Spike," Pegasus on the right of the carriage said. "Could you tell Twilight hi for us?" Pegasus on the left said. "Let her know we all miss her at the castle, and that one of the librarians said she actually misses tripping over Twilight's pile of books." The small dragon chuckled. "Will do. Have a good flight back," he said, waving to them as they flew away. Spike walked into his home, finding the main area of the library deserted. "Twilight, are you home, Twilight?" The unicorn in question rushed out to greet her adopted little brother with an enthusiasm he had grown accustomed to over the last few months. "Spike, welcome home," she said, hugging him tightly. "Did everything go okay with the princesses?" "Yep, they said I'm fit as a fiddle, and there's no trace of the curse left," he informed her. "That's great, Spike. Now things can finally go back to normal," Twilight sighed. "Yeah, normal," Spike said dejectedly. From what I've heard, normal would be like a vacation for you, little brother, Emerald said, smiling as she walked into the room from the kitchen. Spike just stood there and stared at the green dragoness, tears slowly building up in his eyes. Twilight, is that... Yes, Spike, this is Emerald, your big sister, Twilight said. Spike rushed up and hugged the dragoness as best he could. Emerald, in turn, carefully hugged him back, tears streaming down her face. Oh, Spike, I didn't think I'd cry. I was afraid I'd never see you again, and here you are, healthy, happy, and thriving. I hear you even have a girlfriend. I'm so happy for you, and proud too. I know Mom and Dad would be as well, she said, wiping the tears from her eyes. Rarity watched the happy reunion through the window at the back of the library. I'm happy for you, Spike, she whispered to herself as she rushed back to her home. Spike spent the rest of his day talking with his sister, getting as much information about her and their parents as he could. He wanted to know everything he could about the family, the clan, everything. The next morning, Spike was so excited about the recent events, he wanted to invite Rarity over for breakfast with Twilight and his sister. Humming a merry tune, he sauntered up to the boutique and knocked on the door. Rarity slowly cracked the door, only enough to look out at the little purple dragon. Oh, Spike, how are you this morning? I'm okay. Can I come in for a moment? He asked. What, no, I'm sorry, dear, but I think I'm coming down with something, she said, faking a cough. I wouldn't want you to catch it. You're sick? Are you sure you don't want me to come in and help? I wouldn't want you to overexert yourself if you're not feeling well, he said. Rarity couldn't help but blush at his offer. Oh, Spike, you're such a gentle drake. No, Spike, I couldn't possibly ask you to do that. It's okay, I'll be fine, Rarity reassured him. I see. Well, if you feel better, you should definitely come over. My sister Emerald is in town, and I'd really like a chance to introduce you. I will, I promise. Now, you run along, Spike. I don't want you to get sick, too. Okay, Rarity. I'll see you later, I guess, he said, rather downtrodden. The unicorn mare slowly shut the door till she heard the latch click home. She sat with her back against the door, sobbing softly. Spike just stood there outside the boutique, listening to the mare he loved, crying. Slowly, he walked away, taking a single look back, then shuffled his way home. Every day that week, Spike would go see Rarity, and every day she would have a new excuse as to why she couldn't come out and why he couldn't come in. The young dragon sat in his room crying after being turned away a 7th time. Emerald lightly knocked on his door. Can I come in? She asked. Sure, he said, wiping the tears from his eyes. What's bothering you, brother? I haven't seen much of you the last few days. Is everything all right? To be honest, I don't know, he said, depressed. You remember Rarity, the unicorn I told you about? Yes, your little girlfriend. I remember you telling me about her, Emerald recalled. As a name, Spike said, slightly irritated. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Yes, I remember her. It's okay, Emmy, he said. It's just, she's been making excuses to keep me in host length all week, and I'm starting to think something might be wrong. What do you mean? She asked him. The small purple dragon sighed heavily. I can only think of 2 things that would make Rarity act like this, he said sadly. Either she doesn't love me anymore, or she's jealous of you and just plain doesn't want to come out while you're here, he informed his sister. Jealous of me? Why do you think that? She asked him. Well, with the exception of the rest of our friends, she's had me all to herself, and now you come along and she has to share me with somebody else, he explained. From what you and your friends have told me, that doesn't sound like her, Emerald said. Trust me, she can be very jealous at times. But you're right, in these circumstances, I don't think that's it either. That only leaves one thing. Rarity doesn't love me anymore, Spike said. He sniffed loudly, wiping his nose. Emerald hugged her little brother as he started to cry, his tears flowing down his cheeks and down her scales. It's all right, Spike. I'm sure everything will turn out okay. Twilight had been listening in on the conversation between the two dragons. "Okay, Rarity, this has gone on long enough," the Lavender Unicorn thought to herself. Walking downstairs quietly, so as not to alert the dragons to her presence, she left the library and made her way through the town to the Carousel Boutique and the home of a certain pregnant unicorn. On her way to the boutique, Twilight ran into Pinkie Pie and told her of what had been happening the past week. Pink Party Pony was speechless, but only for a moment. "I can't believe her!" she said indignantly. "I know, Pinkie. What are we going to do?" she asked her hyperactive friend. "What are we going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to march over there right now and demand why she's trying to sabotage Spike's birthday party." "Wait, what?" Twilight asked, a little confused. "I'm talking about Spike. He's sad and depressed, and has it in his head that Rarity doesn't love him anymore." "I know, that's what I'm talking about. If Spike gets any sadder, then he won't want a party at all, and we've been working so super hard planning this party for the last month," Pinkie said. "Are parties all you think about?" Twilight asked her. "Of course not. But parties, especially a party for one of my friends, is serious business," she corrected the Lavender Unicorn. "But, Pinkie, every pony in town is friends with you," Twilight argued. "Exactly. Now let's get over to Rarity's before things get worse," she said as she galloped away, Twilight close behind her. Pinkie beat Twilight to the door of the Carousel Boutique and pounded on it. The door slowly creaked open. "Pinkie, Twilight, what brings you here today?" Before she could say anything, Twilight jumped up and clamped Pinkie Pie's mouth shut. "Rarity, may we please come in?" "Yes, of course, please, do come in," she said, opening the door to allow them in. "Rarity, we have to talk to you about—" Twilight was cut off mid-sentence when she saw the state her friend was in. Her mane and tail were unkempt. Her coat was dull and dirty, as if neither had been washed in days. On top of everything, the shop was in shambles, and Rarity herself appeared to be at least 10 pounds heavier, her stomach starting to bulge out. "Oh my goodness, what happened to you, Rarity?" The white unicorn tried to smooth out her ragged mane with her hooves. "I'm sorry, girls. I know I must look terrible. My magic hasn't been working right recently. The doctor warned me that strenuous magic use might harm the baby, but he didn't say anything about this." "You were warned about using magic and you did anyway?" Twilight asked in a chastising tone. "Sorry, Twilight, I needed something to keep myself busy," Rarity told her. "So instead of spending time with us, and especially Spike, you go and do something that might hurt your foal?" Purple Unicorn asked her firmly. "It was only a little magic," she protested meekly. Pinkie looked around the store and summed it all up in an instant. Walking over to Twilight, she whispered in her ear, "Hey, Twi, why don't you go on home and I'll talk with Rarity. Comfort Spike as best you can, and let him know that Rarity will be at his party tomorrow. Oh, and when he does go to sleep tonight, slip him a slumber spell so he won't wake up until at least 9 tomorrow." "Sure, Pinkie. Hey, wait, how did you know about the slumber spell?" she asked. "Oh, would you look at the time? See you later, Twilight. Say hi to Spike and Emerald for me," she shouted as she pushed the Lavender Unicorn out of the shop and shut the door behind her. "Pinkie, dear, was that really necessary?" Rarity asked her. "Yes, because now that she's gone, you can tell me what's really going on." "Whatever do you mean?" she asked the party pony. "I can understand that the store got ruined by some misfiring magic, but for all the years I've known you, you've never, ever, ever let yourself get that dirty. When was the last time you took a bath?" "It was a few days ago, I'll admit, but it can't be that bad," she said. Pinkie Pie pushed Rarity in front of one of her wall mirrors. "Not that bad, huh?" "Oh, dear goodness, I look an absolute fright. Sorry, Pinkie, but I need to take a shower immediately," Rarity said, racing to her bathroom. "Don't worry about me. I'll just wait here for you," the party pony told her. Rarity took her time in the shower, making sure to scrub and clean herself back to her usual pristine condition. After brushing her mane and coat, she wandered out into the main lobby of her store to find it had also been cleaned, returned to its normal, sparkling state. "What happened? The store looks marvelous," Rarity said. "You were taking so long in that shower, I decided to clean things up a bit," Pinkie said, sitting in the middle of the spotless room. "Now that you're all pretty again, how about telling me what's really going on?" "I don't know what you're talking about," the white unicorn stated. "Come on, Rarity. You haven't left the shop all week." Poor little Spiky Wanky is at home right now, crying his little eyes out because he thinks you don't love him anymore," Pinkie informed her. "How do you know that?" she asked. "Twilight told me. She also told me that you've been making all sorts of stuff up just so he won't see you," the pink pony said. "I don't get it, Rarity. You've been obsessing this whole time about how you're going to tell him, but when he comes to see you, you turn him away." "Oh, Pinkie, I didn't mean to hurt him. I want to tell him, I just don't know how. I don't want him to see me like this, not until I figure out what to say." "Have you thought about trying, 'Hey, Spike, how you doing? Wanted to let you know I'm pregnant and you're the father.' See? Easy." "I can't say that to him. If I said that, he'd be scared for sure," she said. "Is that what this is all about? You're afraid he'll get scared and run out on you like Sweetie Belle's father?" Pinkie Pie asked. Rarity sat there looking at the floor as she gently stroked her hoof along her stomach. "It is, isn't it? You really think Spike would walk out on you? Rarity, how could you? This is Spike we're talking about. He loves you. How could you think he'd do something so bad?" "I can't help it. Every time I think of a way to tell him, I keep thinking of Sweetie Belle's father. When I told him, he ran out and wouldn't talk to me anymore. He ignored me and eventually left for school in Philadelphia." "Well, his birthday party is tomorrow, so you can tell him then. It'll be like an extra special birthday present. And don't worry about how he'll react. I'll be there, and all of our friends will be there too. If Spike does try to run, Rainbow Dash will beat him up and drag him back." Rarity chuckled a little. "I hope it doesn't come to that. You're right, Pinkie Pie. As long as my friends are there, I think I can do this," she said with a grateful sigh. "I'll tell him at the party. After everything he's done for me," she said, stroking her stomach again. "And everything he's given me, he deserves the truth. I did have a question for you, though." "What's that?" "Why did you ask Twilight to use a slumber spell on Spike tonight?" Rarity asked her. "Oh, that's so you, me, and Emerald can sneak all those gems you have for him up to his room. When he wakes up and sees all those gemstones around him, he'll be super happy again, and then he can have fun at his birthday party, and maybe, if we're really lucky, he'll forget about this past week." "But that's... Pinkie, you're a genius. I had no idea how to give him the gems that Emerald and I had gathered for him, but that's just perfect. And I can do a little something extra for him, too. I feel just awful about making him wait and giving him the wrong idea about me." "Try not to worry about it. I have to get back to the bakery. I'll bring Emerald by around 10 tonight, and we can start moving those gems. From what I've heard, there's quite a few."
Spike woke late the next morning. Stretching out, he slowly opened his eyes to what he thought must be a dream. His room had been filled with gems of every size, shape, color, and variety. The mid-morning sun shimmered and sparkled off their faceted surfaces and lit the entire room with a kaleidoscope of color. Amongst the jewels was an envelope with a fanciful letter S written on it. Spike walked over and picked it up, noticing a familiar scent emanating from it. Sliding the envelope under his nose, he inhaled deeply. "Rarity's perfume," he thought to himself. He carefully opened the envelope and read the letter softly to himself. "My dearest Spike, I am so terribly sorry for how badly I've treated you this past week. It was wrong of me to try and keep you away. I realize that now. You must believe me when I say that I still love you very much. You are very special to me in ways that I find hard to express. I only hope these gems that Emerald and I obtained for you will make up for my poor behavior. Something very important has come up, and I've wanted to talk to you about it ever since you returned from Canterlot, but I've lacked the courage. When you get this, Twilight, Emerald, myself, and all of our friends will be downstairs, waiting to make your special day the most special it can possibly be. Pinkie and the rest of us have planned a party for you, and afterwards hopefully I will get a chance to speak with you. My love for as long as I live and beyond, Rarity Filigree." Tears were welling up in the dragon's eyes. "She still loves me," he thought to himself. "This is going to be the best day ever." Spike raced out of his room and down the stairs. Running down the stairs, Spike rocketed into the reading room of his library home. The small purple dragon stood there at the bottom of the stairs, completely speechless. The room was decorated with all manner of streamers, balloons, and brightly colored paper lanterns. Every inch of every table in the library bowed under the weight of pies, cakes, cupcakes, candy, punch, fruit, chips, dip, and anything a pony or dragon could ever want. Standing in the reading pit at the center of the library were his friends. Each one of them wore a smile as big as the sun. Twilight, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, his sister Emerald, Pinkie Pie, Scootaloo, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, Lyra, Bonbon, Ditzy, and the Doctor, even Dinky and little Tootsie Flute. They were all there. Twilight approached him and levitated him onto her back. "Happy birthday, Spike! We're all here to make your birthday the best day you've ever had," she told him. "At Emerald's suggestion, we're giving you a traditional dragon birthday party." "Really? This is going to be so awesome!" Spike shouted. "Not so fast there, Spike," Rainbow Dash said. "Dragons don't give presents." "What?" Spike said, a bit dejected. "Now, Miss Dash, that's not entirely accurate," Emerald corrected. "We have gifts, just not those of material possession. You don't want a repeat of your first birthday in Ponyville, do you, Spike?" "You know about that?" he asked. "Of course she does, Sugarcube. When she came to town, your sister wanted to know everything about you, so we all told her," Applejack said. Behind all the ponies and his dragoness sister, Spike saw the object of his ultimate affection. Rarity was wearing a loose-fitting red dress and the fire ruby necklace that always reminded the little dragon of the fondness the unicorn held for him. Spike hopped off of Twilight's back and walked right up to Rarity. "I hope you're not too upset about not getting any presents, dear," she said. "It's okay, Rarity," he said, giving her a tremendous hug around her neck. "Being able to hold you again is all the present I need." The white unicorn mare hugged the small dragon back, wrapping her forelegs around him. "I've missed you too, Spike." "Aww," Dinky, Tootsie Flute, and the Cutie Mark Crusaders said in unison. "Oh, Spike, that's so sweet," Fluttershy commented, watching the happy couple. "Okay, enough of the mushy stuff. We've got some partying to do," Pinkie announced with her usual gusto. The party started in earnest. Lyra and Bonbon were providing the music care of Lyra's sound system she brought over for the occasion. The Doctor was dancing with Ditzy, and the 5 fillies were chasing each other around the room, occasionally grabbing a bite to eat from the various food-laden tables around the room. While Spike was escorting Rarity to the buffet, Rainbow Dash sauntered up to the small dragon. "Hey, Spike, I have an extra ticket for the show the Wonderbolts are having in Cloudsdale this afternoon, and I was wondering if you wanted to go with me. Think of it as a birthday present that doesn't break your sister's rules." "Thanks, Rainbow. I'd really like to, but I kind of want to spend time with Rarity today. Sorry," he said, trying not to disappoint his friend. "Hey, that's okay. I understand that you want to spend time with your squeeze." "You know, though, Scootaloo's a big fan, too. Why don't you ask her?" Spike asked. "I'm sure she'd flip out if you asked her to go." "Thanks, Spike. I think I just might," Rainbow said, ruffling his head spikes with her right hoof. "Hey, Squirt, come over here. I want to talk to you for a moment." Spike and Rarity approached the buffet table when they heard Scootaloo shout with joy. "That was very nice of you, Spike," the white unicorn said as she piled food onto a plate. "It was nothing really. To tell the truth, I'm not that much of a Wonderbolts fan, and I knew Scootaloo would jump at the chance to hang out with Rainbow." After filling their plates, the unicorn and the dragon sat on one of the sofas that lined the reading pit to enjoy their food. They sat there together, watching their friends dance and chat with each other. Spike's eyes were riveting on the fillies that rolled around on the floor, wrestling. "Two bits for your thoughts?" Rarity asked. Oh, sorry. I was just watching Sweetie Belle and thinking about how much I envied her father." Rarity nearly dropped her plate. "How could you possibly envy that jerk? He walked out on me in Sweetie Belle," she whispered in an almost angry tone. "I envy him because he was able to give you something that I don't think I ever will. I guess I just need to know that you're going to be okay with that," he said, looking down at his almost untouched food. "Darling, what are you talking about?" she asked. "A baby, Rarity. I'm a dragon, you're a pony. I don't know where this relationship is going, but if it's permanent, like I hope it is, then I need to know it's okay that even when I'm old enough, I may never be able to give that to you." Rarity set her plate down and looked the little dragon in the eyes. "Spike, dear, did you read the letter I left for you in your room?" she asked him. "Yes, it was beautiful," he said. "Yes, well, I don't think you need to worry about not being able to give me a foal." "Why's that?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Rarity leaned closer to him and whispered into his ear. "You already have." "Wait, what? But we haven't— I can't—" he stammered. "You could, and you did when you were a pony, remember?" she asked him softly. Spike had a faraway look in his eyes. "I don't think I'll ever forget that night," he said with a sigh. "How long until— you know?" "If everything goes okay, I'll deliver in about 8 to 9 months," she informed him cheerfully. "I see." Spike set his own plate down and addressed the room. "Every pony, I appreciate you coming to my party, but I have to go now. Please enjoy what's left of the celebration." Spike started towards the door when a white hoof reached out and stopped him. "Spike, what's going on?" she asked, desperation showing on her face. "I'm sorry, Rarity," he said, not able to look her in the eye. "There are a few things I have to do, and it can't wait anymore. I'll see you later." Spike kissed the mare softly on the cheek, then walked out the door, leaving behind the room full of shocked ponies. And with that, Chapter 2 is done. Longest chapter of the story. I'm glad to have it over with. And, it took me so long to finish recording, because it was so long of a chapter. And the next video I have up will be another Animorphs video, another Morphing is Magic video. Honestly, I need to address something that bothers me with this fic, and that's its use of words that I don't know. And I'm sure I'm sure that a lot of people who read this story read it and what does that word mean? Looks it up, comes back to the story. What does that word mean? Looks it up, come back to the story. And it's a bit distracting from the story. I'm sure you guys know that I don't really like shipping, but it's still distracting from the story. It doesn't matter that I don't like shipping. It's just using words that, especially since My Little Pony is supposed to be for a younger audience. Then again, this fic is obviously not for a younger audience, but still, it's for a teen audience. But even so, a lot of the words used in this story aren't really words that a teen would generally know. And I think that's just distracting from the story, and it gets in the way of any emotion the story had building up. It's really distracting. Also, there are a lot of subtle grammar issues in the story, such as when they say a name, such as at the very end. Here's an example. It says, "I'm sorry, Rarity," but there's no comma there. But generally, if you're writing something down, it would be "I'm sorry" and then a comma and then Rarity, or whatever other name you might be using there. It bothers me. I'm maybe a bit of a grammar Nazi, but it just bugs me. But other than that, it seems like a lot of people are liking this story, and it seems like the story is going well. And that's all I really have to say about it. Well then, this is me signing out. Peace!